I'm Dinuka Daratna. I'm doing this video on wireless network technologies for the purpose of an assignment given by MSc program in SLIIT. Let's begin from basics. Protocol is very important in communication. A protocol is a standard set of rules that allows electronic devices to communicate with each other. These rules include what type of data may be transmitted, what commands are used to send and receive data, how data transfer are confirmed. Standards play a major role in protocols. When it comes to standards, there are certain institutes who maintains standards in worldwide. There are three main standard bodies related to wireless communication: Telecommunication Industry Associations known as TIA, and European Telecommunication Standards Institute, and International Telecommunications Union plays a major role in wireless standard bodies. Apart from the wireless standard bodies stated previously, IEEE plays a major role in wireless communications too. IEEE is an international body that specifies industry standards for power, consumer electronics, and computers, including computer communications. 802.11 is the standard for wireless communication, and it is a part of the IEEE 802 set of LAN protocols and specifies the set of media access control MAC and physical layer protocols for implementing wireless local area network communications in various frequencies, including but not limited to 2.4 GHz, 5, 6 and 60 GHz frequency bands. For networking, many network devices are needed. In order to purchase different devices from different vendors, some kind of standard was needed. If the devices are not compatible, they will not be able to communicate with each other. Therefore, International Standards Organization defined the open system interconnection 7 layers. Today, data communication and computer networking is based on the ISO OSI model. There are 7 layers in ISO OSI model. First one is physical layer, second one is data link layer, third one is network layer, fourth one is transport layer, session layer is the fifth one, and presentation layer in sixth, and application layer in seventh place. Now let's look at the TCP/IP protocol suite. The Internet Protocol Suite is the conceptual model that set of communication protocols used in the Internet and similar computer networks. It is commonly known as TCP/IP because the foundational protocols in the suite are Transmission Control Protocol and the Internet Protocol. There are four major layers in TCP/IP protocol: application layer, transport layer, network layer, and network interface. This is also has a relationship between OSI ISO model. Application layer relates with application, presentation, and session layers in OSI ISO model. Then transport layer is relate with transport layer in OSI model. Network layer is also the same. Then network interface layer relates with data link and physical layers in OSI ISO model. Digital and analog signals. Analog signals are transmitted using continuously changing quantity as a reference. Data transmission consists of sending signals as continuous waves. An example of an analog signal is transmission of radio waves, television waves, or sound waves. When it comes to digital signals, digital signal is a signal that represents data as a sequence of discrete values. A digital signal can only take one value from a finite set of possible values at a given time. Uh, Examples for digital signal is variable electric current or voltage, phase or polarization of an electromagnetic field. There are three major components or characteristics of a sinusoidal signal. Amplitude. Amplitude is the distance between the resting position and the maximum displacement of the wave as shown in the first picture. Then the frequency. The frequency of a wave is the number of waves that pass by each second and is measured in hertz. Then phase. Phase is position in the time that the wave crossed the time axis. Phase is the same frequency, same cycle as same wavelength, but are two or more waveforms not exactly aligned together as depicted in the second picture. Let's discuss about bandwidth in signal processing. In analog signal processing, the bandwidth is a difference between the upper and lower frequencies in a continuous band of frequencies. It is typically measured in hertz. Bandwidth specifies transmission media's ability to process various frequencies. When it comes to digital signal processing, uh, according to the Fourier analysis, any signal is a combination of sinusoidal signals. So we can take it as the bandwidth of a digital signal. In digital signal processing, bandwidth is n divided by 2 hertz. We can calculate capacity based on the type of transmission media. Capacity of a lossless transmission media, in general we can write the following expression. The maximum bitrate a media supports is called its bandwidth. It's 2 times of the bandwidth. So it is only valid for ASK, FSK and BFSK modulated signals. For multi-level signals, we can write it as using this expression. When it comes to practical scenarios, it means lossy transmission media. We can use the Shannon law to calculate the capacity of the lossy transmission media. Let's look at the transmission impairments. Noise is the unwanted electrical signals. This mainly occurs due to random movements of electrons. It is called thermal noise or white noise. Attenuation is signal strength reduces when it travels through the media. This effect is called attenuation. Then the delay distortion. Any signal is a combination of many sinusoidal signals, as we have discussed in the previous, which have different frequencies. Therefore, the signal wave components travel with different velocities and reach the destination at different times. This effect is called the group delay. Because of the group delay, signal is reconstructed at the receive end and it is not the similar to the original signal due to group delay, and it is called the delay distortion or inner symbol distortion. In order to avoid these effects, the bitrate should be limited. There are three major steps in pulse called modulation, also known as PCM in short: sampling, quantizing and encoding. Sampling is the technique which helps to collect the sample data at instantaneous values of message signal. So as to reconstruct the original signal, the sampling rate must be greater than twice the highest frequency component W of the message signal, in accordance with the sampling theorem. So in order to completely reconstruct the original signal from samples, the sample rate should be at least twice as highest frequency. Quantizing is the process of reducing the excessive bits and confining the data. The sampled output, when given to quantizer, reduces the redundant bits and compresses the value. Encoding. In the digitization of analog signal is done by the encoder. It designates each quantized level by a binary code. The sampling done here is the sample and hold process. These three actions will act as an analog signal to digital converter. Encoding minimizes the bandwidth used. Let's look at the modulation and quadrature phase shift keying. Modulation is a technique used to send information by modifying the characteristics. It means amplitude, frequency and phase of a basic electromagnetic signal. The basic signal is called the carrier signal in here. One of these characteristics are changed according to the shape of the input analog signal or the bit pattern of the input digital signal. Based on modulating signal type, modulation types can be differ. Quadrature phase shift keying, QPSK or 4PSK. In this method, the first input data stream is divided into two parallel streams. First bit goes to P, second bit goes to Q, and so on. At the input of the QPSK modulator, four types of bit combinations can be expected, that is 00, 01, 10 and 11. These bit patterns will have four different phases. First one is 0 degree, 01 is 90 degree, 10 is 180 degrees, 11 is 270 degrees. Quadrature amplitude modulation, known as QAM, it conveys two analog message signals or two digital bit streams by changing the amplitude of two carrier waves using the amplitude shift keying, digital modulation scheme, or amplitude modulation analog modulation scheme. QAM is used extensively as a modulation scheme for digital communication systems such as 802.11 Wi-Fi standards. Multiplexing, if we can combine few signals together, uh, or it means packing of the signal is called multiplexing. There are two main types of multiplexing, uh, FDM and TDM. FDM means frequency division multiplexing. uh, there are another subtype of FDM, orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. When it comes to TDM, it's called time division multiplexing. It is used for digital signals. Frequency division multiple access, time division multiple access, orthogonal frequency division multiple access are satellite access method. FDMA is the process of dividing one channel or bandwidth into multiple individual bands, each of used by a single user, as given in the figure 1. Each individual band or channel is wide enough to accommodate the signal spectra of the transmissions to be propagated. The data to be transmitted is modulated onto each subcarrier and all of them are linearly mixed together. FDMA divides the shared medium bandwidth into individual channels. Subcarriers modulated by the information to be transmitted occupy each subchannel. TDMA is digital technique that divides signal channel or band into time slots. Each time slot is used to transmit one byte or another digital segment of each signal in sequential serial data format. This technique works well with slow voice data signal, but it's also useful for compressed video and other high-speed data. OFDMA is access technology used long in LTE cellular systems to accommodate multiple users in a given bandwidth. Orthogonal frequency division multiplexing is a modulation method that divides a channel into multiple narrow orthogonal bands that are spaced so they don't interfere with one another. Each band is divided into hundreds or even thousands of 15 kHz wide subcarriers. In telecommunication and radio communication, spread spectrum technologies are methods by which a signal uh, generated with a particular bandwidth is deliberately spread in the frequency domain, resulting a signal with a wider bandwidth. These techniques are used for a variety of reasons, including the establishment of secure communications, increasing resistance to natural interference, noise, and jamming to prevent detection, no limit power flux density, example satellite downlinks, and to enable multiple access communications. Wireless standard IEEE 802.11 uses either FHSS or DSSS, means frequency hopping spread spectrum, and direct sequence spread spectrum. MIMO is a method for multiplying the capacity of a radio link using multiple transmissions and receiving antennas to exploit multipath propagation. MIMO has become an essential element of wireless communication standards including Wi-Fi, 3G, WiMAX and LTE. Beamforming is a technique that focuses a wireless signal towards a specific receiving device rather than having the signal spread in all directions from a broadcast antenna as it normally would. The resulting more direct connection is faster and more reliable than it would be without beamforming. There are two modes of duplex operation, half duplex and full duplex. Full duplex refers to simultaneous two-way communications, FDD and TDD. Frequency division duplexing is a technique where transmitter and receiver operate as different carrier frequencies. For instance, in mobile wireless networks, one block of spectrum is allocated for uplink, which carries data from mobile phones to base satellite, while another is allocated for downlink. Time division duplexing uses a single frequency band for both transmit and receive. Then it shares that band by assigning alternating time slots to transmit and receive operations. Block coding, error detection and correction. Block coding is a coding method to ensure synchronization and detection of errors. In block coding, we divide our message into blocks, each of k bits called data words. The smallest block of data in block coding, we add our redundant bits to each block to make the length n equal k plus r. The resulting n bit blocks are called code words. Block coding error detection. If the following two conditions are met, the receiver can detect a change in the signal code word. By using block coding technique, the receiver has or can find a list of valid code words. The original code word has changed to an invalid one. Block coding error correction. Error correction is much more difficult than error detection. In error detection, the receiver needs to know only that the received code word is invalid. In error correction, the receiver needs to find or guess the original code word sent. So it requires more redundant bits of error correction and for error detection. Error detection is required before error correction. Cyclic code is a block code where the circular shift of each code word gives another word that belongs to the code. They are error correcting codes that have algebraic properties that are convenient for efficient error detection and correction. Checksum is a small size block of data derived from another block of digital data for the purpose of detecting errors that may have been introduced during transmission or storage. By themselves, checksums are often used to verify data integrity but are not relied upon verify data authenticity. Buffer. Incoming data must be checked and processed before they can be used. The rate of such processing is often slower than the rate of transmission. For this reason, each receiving device has a block of memory called buffer reserved for storing incoming data until they are processed. If the buffer begins to fill up, the receiver must be able to tell the sender to hold transmission until it is once again able to receive. Flow control refers to a set of procedures used to restrict the amount of data that sender can send before waiting for acknowledgement. High-level data link control is a bit-oriented protocol for communications over point-to-point and multi-point links. HDLC supports two types of transfer modes, normal response mode and asynchronous balance mode. In NRM, two types of stations are there: primary stations that send commands and secondary stations that respond to received commands. It is used for both point-to-point and multi-point communication. Asynchronous balance mode, the configuration is balanced. Each station can both send commands and respond to commands. It is used for only point-to-point communications. The picture shows the frame of the HDLC bit oriented protocol, where each frame contains up to 6 fields including flag, address, control, payload, FCS and flag. CSMA/CA protocol. To minimize the chance of collision and therefore increase the performance, the CSMA method was developed. The chance of collisions can be reduced if a station senses the medium before trying to use it. Carrier sends multiple access. CSMA requires that each station first listen to the medium or check the state of the medium before sending. In other words, CSMA basis on the principle sense before transmit or listen before talk. Collisions are avoided through the use of CSMA ICA's three strategies called inference space, contention window, and acknowledgement. The picture shows the workflow of the CSMA CA protocol. Logical link control. Data link control handles framing, flow control and error control. In IEEE Project 802, flow control, error control and the part of the framing duties are collected into one sublayer called logical link control. Framing is handled in both LLC sublayer and MAC sublayers. The picture shows the HDLC frame compared with the LLC and MAC frames. In standard Ethernet, the MAC sublayer governs the operation of the access method. It also frames data received from the upper layer and passes them to the physical layer. Frame format of the MAC layer is depicted in the picture. Primable SFD DASA length or type of protocol data unit, upper layer data, and CREs. Ethernet does not provide any mechanism of acknowledging received frames, making it what is known as an unreliable medium. Acknowledgements must be implemented at the higher layers. IEEE has defined the specification for wireless LAN called IEEE 802.11, which covers the physical and data link layers. The standard defines two kinds of services: basic service set and extended service set. IEEE 802.11 standard, popularly known as Wi-Fi, lays down the architecture and specification of wireless LANs. Wi-Fi or WLAN uses high-frequency radio waves instead of cables for connecting the devices in LAN. Users connected by WLAN can move around within the area of network coverage. The picture shows IEEE 802.11 MAC sublayer frame, which includes frame control, duration, address fields, sequence, data, and check sequences. In wireless systems, the method of collision detection does not work. It uses a protocol called Carrier Sense Multiple Access with Collisions Avoidance, CSMA/CA. The method of CSMA/CA is when a frame is ready, the transmitting station checks whether the channel is idle or busy. If the channel is busy, the station waits until the channel becomes idle. If the channel is idle, the station waits for an inter-frame gap amount of time, then sends the frame. After sending the frame, it sets a timer. The station waits for acknowledgement from the receiver. If it receives the acknowledgement before expiry of timer, it marks a successful transmission. Otherwise, it waits for a back-off time period and restarts the algorithm. Coordination functions in 802.11 MAC layer. IEEE 802.11 MAC sublayer uses two coordination functions for collision avoidance before transmission called distributed coordination functions DCF and point coordination functions PCF. Thank you very much for watching my video on wireless network technologies. I have used some references to make this video as listed in here. Thank you very much.